Thank you so much for joining us. This really is an exciting day and moment in time. It's quite extraordinary to stop and pause, reflect on 150 years of history for the Medical Society. So thank you so much for being here with us for this purpose. I want to welcome some important guests. There's a long list. I have a hunch I'm going to mention almost everybody here. So I will run through this list. Some MSMS past presidents: Dr. Donald Crandall and his wife Nancy, Dr. Peter Duhamel and his wife Lois, Dr. Paul Farr, Dr. Dorothy Kakkonen and her guest Tom Plasman, Dr. Stephen Newman, Dr. Thomas Payne and his wife Cynthia, and Dr. Richard Smith. So welcome our past presidents. We have key stakeholders in the lawmaker community we want to welcome, and those include Senator Stephen Bida, Senator Hoon Young Hopgood, Representative Robert Kosowski, Senator Mike Cowell, Senator Peter McGregor, Senator Margaret O'Brien, and Representative Al Scholka. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced anybody's name, but welcome to all of our legislator colleagues. Our constituent county societies are vital to the lifeblood of the State Medical Society, so we welcome county society representatives, including Joan Kramer from Saginaw County, Shirley Green from Muskegon County, Jennifer Grinnell from Oakland County, Dr. Wayne Fuller, president of Muskegon County Medical Society, Angie Kempanen from Ingham County. So welcome to our county society leaders. And then other special guests, fitting in the other category, our Honorable Hugh Brenneman, son of past MSMS Executive Director Hugh Brenneman. And Hugh has a badge from the 50th centennial. So it's a very special guest with a special badge. He's the only one who gets to stand. The rest of the also very special guests, but without special badges, include William Fleming from the Doctors Company, John Fletcher and Tyler Mance from Chrisman Constructors, who are involved in unearthing and replacing the time capsules, Lisa Hildorf, who helped to design the interior of the building, the Yamasaki Design Building in 1959. It's stood the test of time. It's still gorgeous, and we love it every day. George Lahanis, East Lansing City Manager. Mike Pudist from Yamasaki Associates. Yamasaki continues. And by the way, I believe Yamasaki in his early days designed some 900 square foot houses that my father built after World War II. Matt Resch from Resch Strategies Group. Dr. Gary Roth, Chief Medical Officer of the Michigan Health and Hospital Association Keystone Center. Clara Sumegi, President of the Michigan State Medical Society Alliance. Dennis Swan, President and CEO of Sparrow Health System. The Honorable Nathan Triplett, the Mayor of East Lansing. And Peter Pratt, President of Public Sector Consultants. So welcome to all of our special guests. So as we stop to celebrate and also to do the extraordinary thing of 50 years later, finding out what our predecessors put in their time capsule and discover what was on their minds at that special moment in time when they similarly paused and reflected on their purpose as a society, as individual physicians, as members of the community. We reflect on all that, as physicians, we aspire to do and all that we do. And it really is a momentous thing to really reflect on that rather than just be in the business of the day, which we tend to do every day. And what a wonderful enterprise that we are about, and how wonderful it is to share that with the stakeholder community and the legislatures and city and state government and other healthcare stakeholders and community members. We recognize that we stand on the shoulders of literally many, many generations of physicians who came before us. While we're celebrating the 150th anniversary of the founding of the State Medical Society, actually there was a group of doctors who came together more than 50 years before that to organize, to establish standards for certifying individuals as physicians in the state of Michigan. So the legacy is even longer than the 115 years which we are reflecting on today. And all of those generations of physicians really have done the work, laid the foundation on which we stand, that have enabled us to be our best selves as doctors and to be our best selves as community members and to be together as a state medical society, which also enables the individual members to do their best. So there's much to be thankful for there. In the face of the traffic and the changes and challenges of the day, I hope you can hear me, there are certain traits that we rely on, certain constants that I know that our predecessors 150 years ago and 200 years ago also, as they reflected, were certainly mindful of. We are steadfast in our commitment to our patients, first and foremost. We adjust to changes and challenges of the day, which all of our predecessors have dealt with. We tend to think that our time is the one that's full of change, but I know for certain that it's not just us. It's been throughout the time of medicine in Michigan. We are constant in recognizing the doctor-patient relationship as central to everything that we do, and it emanates from a truly sacred trust. And then we are fully focused on doing good for our patients and doing good for our community, which for which we can thank our predecessors who set a model for us over the last 150 plus years. And then also, most importantly as well, working with other stakeholders in the community who will be represented here by yourselves and by the folks who will speak after me, from state government, from the healthcare community, from city government, and there are many other stakeholders with whom we share these important responsibilities. So we're glad to have individuals from those sectors also make a few remarks in honor of this day in this moment. So I will next then introduce Tim Becker, who's Chief Deputy Director of the Department of Health and Human Services in the state of Michigan. We're glad to have Tim come to the podium.
Good morning, everybody. I thank you for having me here. On behalf of the department, I want to say thank you to MSMS for all the support you've given us over the years and all of our wellness efforts, and most recently the Healthy Michigan Plan. We're very excited to have 600,000 folks now covered, receiving primary care services. We're encouraged by the early results that are coming back, and we're seeing this make a real difference in the lives of the people that you're all serving, so we thank you for that. The governor sends his regrets, as does the director. They're both out of town with other commitments. But I did want to read for you a proclamation from the governor. He wrote this, and so I'm just going to read this on behalf of the governor. It says, as Governor of Michigan, it gives me great pleasure to congratulate and recognize Michigan State Medical Society on its 150th anniversary. In its 150 years of service, MSMS has made long-reaching impacts on the health and lives of Michigan citizens through science, quality, and ethics in the practice of medicine. MSMS has been on the forefront of preventing disease and saving lives by successfully advocating for laws such as the mandatory seatbelt use, smoke-free air laws, the tightening of the vaccine waivers, to name just a few. MSMS is a leader in providing state-of-the-art training and continuing medical education. I would also like to recognize that MSMS has been a great partner and collaborator on many initiatives within the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, such as reducing infant mortality, the 4x4 campaign, decreasing tobacco use, and supporting the Healthy Michigan Plan. MSMS members serve on numerous state committees and commissions and provide technical expertise to inform policy decisions. Once again, congratulations on this momentous anniversary. I extend my best wishes for success to MSMS and its members in the years to come. Sincerely, Rick Snyder, Governor of Michigan. So we do thank you and recognize all the contributions you make to this state. And I just wanted to personally say thank you, and then on behalf of the governor and the director as well. At this time, I'm going to turn it over now to Mayor Triplett.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's my great pleasure to be here today on behalf of my colleagues on the East Lansing City Council to offer you warm congratulations on your 150th anniversary. I, too, have a resolution to present to you this afternoon, this morning. But before I do that, just a couple of brief notes. It's very apparent to anyone who understands the work of the members of MSMS, some of whom will apparently be helping with the individual being transported in that ambulance right now, just how critical your work is, which is one of the reasons why we're so very proud to be the home of the Michigan State Medical Society here in East Lansing. I know many of you personally who are in the audience this afternoon. You probably know that since I was a teenager, I've been dealing with a very severe case of Crohn's disease. And if it weren't for the quality of the physicians here in this region who are represented by MSMS, the quality of my life and my family's life would have been dramatically diminished. So it's a very personal testament to the importance of the work that you do. On a community level, of course, you're also very important as well here to East Lansing. Many of us drive by this beautiful headquarters building every day, and it's remarkable how many residents don't realize just how lucky we are to have a jewel like this in our community. As has already been mentioned, although many residents don't realize it, this headquarters building was designed by Yamasaki, the same architect who designed the World Trade Center building, among a number of other global architectural jewels. And we just don't have an adequate appreciation for that here in the community all the time. But the reason I bring that up is in preparing for today and to offer a few words, I happened to be reading some of the things that the architect of this building said about his inspiration for why this particular design for this particular organization. And what he said was that the intent was to build a serene and inviting building to express the idealism and humanity of the medical profession. And I can't think of two more apt descriptions for the members of MSMS and the work that you do than idealistic and humane. So we're very glad to be joining here today to celebrate your 150th anniversary. Let me read just a portion of this resolution to you this morning on behalf of my colleagues on the East Lansing City Council. Whereas the mission of the Michigan State Medical Society is to promote a healthcare environment that supports physicians in caring for and enhancing the health of Michigan citizens through science, quality, and ethics in the practice of medicine. And whereas MSMS was formed on June 5, 1866 by 100 physicians, and in 1873 they established the Michigan State Board of Health. And whereas in 1902, the Journal of the Michigan State Medical Society held its first wide state publication. And whereas more than 750 MSMS member physicians served in World War I. And whereas in 1942 the MSMS Foundation was created, and in 1959 the headquarters moved to East Lansing, Michigan. And whereas currently MSMS is at the forefront of changes in Michigan's healthcare system. Healthcare is at a crossroads. The status quo threatens everyone, including patients, payers, and physicians. MSMS knows that things need to change, and they are seeking a more cohesive system and defining how we get there. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of East Lansing officially congratulates the Michigan State Medical Society on their 150th anniversary and wishes them continued success. And I would just add very much that I hope that some individual who follows in my position will be able to stand here when you're celebrating your next major milestone at 200 years or 250 years and be able to say the same great things about what MSMS has done, not just for this community in East Lansing, but the impact that you've had on our state and our local community members and all of its citizens as well, with the incredible idealistic and humane work that you've done. Thank you all and congratulations.
Lower that because I'm a short girl here. I'm Rose Ramirez, and I'm a family doctor in Grand Rapids, and I am the 150th president of the Michigan State Medical Society, and it is a fabulous honor, and I am pleased that so many past presidents have come today, and it's just such a delight to see you and appreciate the work that you've done on behalf of the physicians in our state and the patients in our state. And to all the other guests that are here, most of you are involved in healthcare in one way or another. And even if you're not actually putting your stethoscope on the chest of a patient, but you're involved in supporting healthcare, then you're involved in improving the health in our state as well. So thank you for that. So as we celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Michigan State Medical Society, I can't help but think how the healthcare profession might change in 50 years and how it might be the same. The men and women that choose a life path as a physician will still be compassionate and highly intelligent individuals. I sincerely hope that the physicians will still be looked to as leaders of the medical profession and that we will continue to put the needs of our patients first. It is the technology that I expect will change dramatically. We have witnessed a time of rapid change in healthcare and medicine in the United States, including the adoption of electronic medical records, the strong trend toward physicians to be employed by hospital systems, and the development of many new drugs to treat and or cure devastating diseases. Computer technology has revolutionized the imaging of the human body. Surgical procedures have become safer and less invasive due to advances in medical science. And yet, we live in a time of excess. Obesity is rampant, and diabetes mellitus is an epidemic. The costs of health care are exceeding our ability to afford them. Antibiotics are becoming ineffective due to overuse. So as I pause and think about what is it going to look like in 2065, I spent a little bit of time thinking about this, and I don't want to get into politics on any of these things because I'm sure some people would like to debate some of these issues, but these are just thoughts about how things may change in 50 years from now. So I think 50 years from now that we will conquer obesity with prevention, new drugs, better public health measures, and genetic manipulation to turn off the genetic codes that predispose people to becoming obese. We will understand the workings of the human brain. No, we won't probably understand the workings of the human brain because I think that could be a really tough one. I think we'll understand the workings of the human brain better. We'll have ways to provide highly targeted treatments for depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia. Our ability to more accurately diagnose behavioral health problems will be enhanced by imaging and newly developed tests. Now, this one might take longer than 50 years, but I think the human body's going to evolve a little bit, and I think we're going to all have bigger heads because we'll have bigger brains, and that our extremities will get smaller because all we do is use our technology now. So we'll see if that comes to be. It might take longer than 50 years, but maybe we could do a study and measure heads now and measure heads in 50 years. I want to mention cancer. Cancer will be treated with manipulation of oncogenes and will be more humane than the toxic drugs we use now. The various types of cancer we recognize now will be further subdivided and treatments will be customized according to new technologies. The cure rates for cancers will dramatically improve. I think that 50 years from now that electrodes or some kind of identification device will be implanted in people at birth. And this will allow the ability to monitor the health of the individual and to track their location at all times. Scientists will use the information to further social and public health policies. Parents will be able to know where their children are at all times, and if you buy the upgraded electrode when your child is born, you can use it to electronically modify undesired activity of your teenagers. Not sure about that, but it sounds sort of promising. I'd pay extra. Parents will be able to choose from an array of physical characteristics such as gender, eye color, and height, based on the genetic makeup of the parents. So if you have two short parents, they can't, decide their child is going to be 6'5", but based on the genetic makeup of the parents. However, genetic manipulation may go awry and fetal abnormalities may increase. As a society, policies will be needed to address this. Due to the futile care to dying people, the cost of fetal care, the value of certain cancer treatments and end-of-life interventions will be quantified. We will know how much 3 months of life is worth at the end of life, and if a person is past an advanced age and the treatment might only provide 3 more months of life, a process will be in place to decide whether the person should receive the treatment or not. It'll be based on cost versus benefit. And I know this is not palatable to some people because it does sound like rationing, but I think that we will start maybe quantifying things more as we have a hard time dealing with the costs of new technology. If someone has the resources and they're personally able to cover new treatments and things, then they probably will be able to get those. Insurance products will change so that only treatments or drugs with proven benefit will be covered. Regarding insurance as a tool to regulate and pay for health care, we will likely have a single-payer health system, and I'm sure there's a few individuals here who would cheer about that one. And it might be single-payer in our country, or some of it could be across the world. Who knows by then? The world has gotten a lot flatter in our time. And there, again, people want to buy extra that's not covered in that single-payer system. If they have the resources, they can do so. The continued migration of peoples from around the world will homogenize most populations across the globe. Global warming and climate change will bring new infectious diseases and changes in their epidemic patterns. Water may become scarcer, and our ability to provide enough food will cause new challenges to the health status of humans. Even with all of those changes in technology, humans will still want interaction with others. Humans will continue to use their ingenuity to solve problems around our world. Physicians will still be needed as the interpreters of the medical technologies and the humanizing voice that promotes care and compassion for patients. The history of healers goes back centuries, and they will still be needed in 2065. So, in 2015, organized medicine is a strong voice for physicians and their patients. I expect that the Michigan Medical Society, over the next 50 years, will maintain their influence and relevance as the voice of physicians in our state. Thank you. With that, I'd like to ask Alexander Harris, our board member for MSMS, our student board member, to come forward.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys taking the time. Again, my name is Alexander Harris. I'm a fourth-year medical student from Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, and I am the student representative for the medical student section. It's a pretty exciting time for myself and fellow fourth-year medical students across the state of Michigan because we are in the process of applying to our residency programs. And I found that in this fervor of sending out applications and constantly checking my cell phone to see if any interview applications or interview offers have come in, that our excitement has been somewhat contagious because I find that many of my attending physicians find themselves reminiscing about their own transitions from medical student to resident, from resident to attending physician. And one phrase I hear pretty regularly is that, medicine just isn't the same as it used to be. And the more I hear it, the more I realize that he's absolutely right. Medicine isn't what it used to be. And looking out into the future, I can guarantee you medicine will not be what it is today. So as I tried to contemplate what that future will look like, I took the short route and consulted a couple of my fellow classmates. So what I wanted to do today is take a pooling of what a number of medical students across the state of Michigan feel big changes will come to the medical field in the future. The first is the further strengthening of mobile health. We all know the huge impact that the iPhone, smartphones, tablets have made on delivering healthcare. But it was almost unanimous across students that this is only going to incredibly strengthen in the future. And then with the advent of wearable health items like Fitbit and activity monitors, we might find primary care physicians prescribing more applications than medications. It hopefully will give physicians and patients the unique opportunity to have a more intimate interaction in a sense that a physician will be able to know a patient's heart rate, blood pressure, and blood glucose, whether that patient's at home in bed, running on the treadmill, or in the hospital in a critical crisis. The next fairly common unanimous idea of future development comes into the human genome. Today we're able to sequence an individual genome for less than $1,000. And everybody seems to feel that this is going to create a new and booming field of medicine, genomic medicine, with the hopes that someday maybe we can stop prescribing a specific bulk milligram dosage of a specific medication and instead tailor every single medication to an individual given their genetics and their epigenetics. And then maybe with these findings we can one day better treat and possibly cure a lot of the genetic ailments that have plagued humans for a number of years. The last is an advent that I found pretty interesting that a surgical friend of mine mentioned. He was on his transplant rotation. He tells me, you know what, I think this whole donor to recipient thing is going to be the way of the past, where one day I think we'll be able to just grow a kidney from a petri dish as opposed to taking it out of a donor. But another friend of mine stepped in and said, you know what, I think that's already obsolete, because I can foresee an orthopedic surgeon logging onto his computer and pressing print, and a 3D printer printing off a brand new femur exactly how he wants it. So whether any of these new and upcoming changes will actually pan out or not, I don't know. But what I can tell you is that the future of medicine will be drastically different. But one thing I think that is the case because I think the doctors of the future will be very similar to the doctors of today and be constantly challenging the status quo in an effort to make sure that the care that they're delivering to their patients are the greatest that they can. So with that, regardless of how it changes, I'm pretty excited to see where the future of medicine goes. Thank you for listening, and actually I hand it over to Dr. Grant, the immediate past president.
Okay, Alex, I don't know how I'm going to top that one. But I will tell Rose one thing. As the father of a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old, the app to know where they are is already out. I will tell you, and if the camera guys show that part, I'm toast. So you can cut that out, but I promised only to use it when absolutely necessary. I was thinking of all the past presidents out there. It's great seeing so many of them, because actually I'm probably the only thing in my life now that I'm the least senior of, and that's the least senior of the Past Presidents Club. But that won't be for long, Rose. In April, you will be the least senior of the Past Presidents Club. And like I told Senator Schwartz a couple meetings ago, there's nothing deader than a dead politician. But thank you, everyone. Now we're going to go on to the Cornerstone part. And among the memorabilia that sealed in the Cornerstone of the MSMS headquarters in 1959 were predictions about medicine and health in the 21st century. With the opening of the Cornerstone, it's quite possible a number of the predictions came true. They were direct or indirect results of the services offered by the medical profession to the public, directed from the members of the Michigan State Medical Society. And here's a few predictions. The average lifespan will be increased to 85 years for men and 90 years for women. Currently, the average lifespan is 75.5 for men and 80.3 for women. Notice how that gap keeps getting tighter and tighter. And I don't know which direction it's going, how it's meeting, but it's getting tighter. New medicines will have been found to prevent or cure diseases such as cancer and tuberculosis. Hundreds of additional doctors, specialists, nurses, and technicians and medical associates in subject areas now unknown will be trained every year. The complexities of accurate diagnosis and specific therapy will have resulted in an ever-increasing specialization in medicine. And the human race will be menaced by several diseases which are presently unknown. Think about it 50 years ago. Did they know what HIV was? What Ebola was? What West Nile was? We know more and more now, and we're going to know more and more in 50 years from now. And the chief problem of the world will be sustaining human health in a heavily saturated radioactive world. I mean, just think of other parts. You know, there's signals going through. Everything's wireless now. If you would have mentioned 15 years ago wireless internet, remember we were all just finding a plug to put it in, or even what the internet was 20 years ago or 25 years ago. Al Gore, I thought he knew it before anyone else did. But no, everything's wireless now, and you know, just the things that we see today and take for granted. Just think 5-10 years ago. Could you have imagined the whole concept of internet and wireless technology 50 years ago? It was unfathomable. I mean, I remember, what was it? 1979. I was in a dorm room just down the street at Michigan State, and you guys couldn't even imagine this, Alex. We had this big black phone on the wall. This big black phone, and this black phone had this thing called a dial. You guys remember? See, I'm showing my age now. It had a dial. And it, you know, we were told what our phone number was, and we had to wait for 6 weeks for the directory to come out so we could see what our friends' phone numbers were. You couldn't even imagine that today. And I'll tell you a funny story. So every Saturday morning, my father would call at 8 o'clock in the morning on the big black phone. And he'd call, and he'd say, did I wake you up? I said, no, I had to get up to answer the phone anyways. And that went on for 4 years. So I'm to open the letter marked not open until and read verbatim. Okay. On top there's a letter from Gordon H. Scott, Dean of the Wayne State University School of Medicine. That's actually where I went. That's when It's my personal to be placed without first opening in this envelope in the cornerstone of the new headquarters of the Michigan State Medical Society on September 27th, 1959. It is a personal request that this is handwritten, personal request that this small document be given no scrutiny or certainty, no publicity. If this is impossible, please return unopened. Gordon H. Scott. For someone who actually went to medical school in the Gordon H. Scott Hall, this gives me particular pleasure to open this. Now open it and read it, Kevin. Okay. So how many Wayne grads in there are in here now? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Oh, thank God it's typed. Okay. Oh, do you know what a typewriter is, Alex? Okay. Yeah, sort of like we didn't have keyboarding. We had typing in 8th grade. To whom it may concern. In the year 2000, the medical profession will be doing what they have done since the beginnings of time. They will still be attempting, with no success whatever, to divorce themselves from every important social change. They will continue to deny that the problems they create should claim their attention in the future. Their attitudes will be those of the scientist. Their catchphrase will be, "Mine is the task of preserving human life by any and all means that society affords." In 2000 AD, society will be told that it must provide the answers to overpopulation, the aging population. They didn't have spell check because he actually typed these, they spelled that wrong. The senseless prolonging of human misery, and every genetic ill that interference with natural selection can bring. Society must find the mechanisms for adjusting protoplasm to an ambient medium so tampered with by science that its regulatory apparatus no longer works. Medicine will continue to exact from society the special kinds of treatment that have been its lot since Aristotle's time. Because medicine does exercise control over life itself, it will never, certainly not by 2000 AD, consent to live by the rules which govern other men. The doctor's role as the pampered darling of civilization will not have been relinquished. He said it, not me. Doctors Doctors will still need to have this strutting upon the stage, applauded constantly by their value recognized not only in respect, but in things which surround them. Physicians will still be physicians in 2000 AD and will be a vital element of living that we can almost afford. Gordon H. Scott, PhD, Dean. Now, it gives me particular pleasure to turn this over to what will be the 151st president of the Michigan State Medical Society in April of next year for 2065 predictions, and one of my actually personally longest friends, Dr. David Krofsky.
Thank you very much, Jim. And before I get into my formal remarks, I'm just going to one-up you here. So when I was a kid growing up, my grandparents lived in Ionia, and my sister and I would spend a week in the summer during the Ionia Free Fair with them. And they had a phone, but it didn't even have a dial. You pick this thing up, and all of a sudden there's this mysterious voice that says, "Number, please." So they couldn't even have a dial. You got it. You got it, Rick. You got it. That was her predecessor. Well, let me just add my thanks to all of you for being here today. It's a great celebration. It's a momentous occasion, 150 years that the Society has been here, and I think it's a wonderful thing. And the weather actually cooperated with us pretty well today, so I think it's great. But thank you so much for being here, and especially our special guests that are here with us. So, what we're going to be doing this morning is we are going to be actually sealing more predictions that will be seen in 50 years from now. And what I've been tasked with is basically giving you a rundown of what some of those predictions are. It's instructive to listen to or to hear what the predictions were and see where they are today and help us understand that we're going to make some predictions. Where are we going to be? How accurate are they going to be? No one knows for sure. But inside the time capsule will be some modern memorabilia. There's going to be letters from prominent citizens predicting the future of medicine in 2065. So here's just a few of the predictions. First of all, technology will change healthcare dramatically, including the creation of cellular-based imaging. Malignant diseases such as cancer, as well as chronic deteriorating diseases like diabetes, arthritis, asthma, and the like, will disappear. Identification devices, as Rose already spoke about, will be implanted at birth. We'll see genetic manipulation. We'll see universal health care. Preterm birth will have been eradicated, and new categories of care professionals will emerge, including preventionists. It'll be very interesting 50 years from now when those who come after us open this time capsule and see how close we were to the mark. So what we're going to do now basically is, the first thing we're going to do is put the old contents from the original time capsule that we opened up just now. We're going to put those in the new time capsule first, and then we're going to place our new predictions on top of that, and then the time capsule will be sealed and replaced. So once again, I want to thank everybody for being here today. I hope you'll stay with us for a bit yet. We have refreshments and some hors d'oeuvres and do some mingling. And thank you again for being here.
Sorry, not on the agenda, but two last comments. One, I also want to welcome Representative Tom Cochran, who has joined us. And I want to say that one of the predictions that David just uttered has already come true. I'm a public health physician, so I'm a preventionist, so we are here. Good work. And while we will no longer aspire to be pampered darlings as of today, officially, I proclaim as chair of the Michigan State Medical Society, we do aspire to continuing to partner with community members, with our patients, with our legislators, with our local citizen leaders, to have a healthcare system which assures the best health and well-being of the community and of our patients. And so we look forward to spending some time with you and to the next 50 years. Thank you so much.